Erika Kirk's MOM, Lori X, Cabot Phillips hated Charlie new footage leaks. The internet didn't just wake up angry, it woke up terrified. Because at 3:11 a.m., a single leaked clip detonated across social media, and suddenly the story everyone thought they understood collapsed like a house of cards. A mother, an ex, and a hatred so deep it was never supposed to be seen. Erika Kirk's mom, Lori, the quiet, supportive figure the public was told to trust, is now at the center of a firestorm, so explosive it's rewriting everything. And standing right beside her in the shadows, Cabot Phillips, the ex who vanished. The name nobody mentioned. Until now. What happens when the people closest to the spotlight were never actually on the same side? What happens when a leaked recording allegedly captures a voice saying, "I never trusted him," and the internet realizes that voice sounds hauntingly familiar? Fans froze. Critics screamed. Screenshots started circulating that were never meant to leave private phones. Messages hinting at resentment, at strategy, at something much darker than a simple family disagreement. And the name at the center of it all, Charlie, suddenly feels less like a memory and more like a question nobody wants to ask out loud. Because if Lori and Cabot truly hated Charlie, the way insiders now claim, then every smile, every tribute, every public word of support starts to feel staged, calculated. And when a second leak surfaced, allegedly showing just how far back this tension went, the internet realized this wasn't a scandal. This was a slow-burning betrayal, years in the making. And the worst part? The most damning piece of footage hasn't even been fully released yet. The first crack in the story didn't come from a headline. It came from a whisper that moved faster than facts ever could. A burner account with no profile photo, no bio, and a username made of random numbers posted a single sentence at 1:46 a.m. They hated him long before you think. At first, no one knew who they were. But within minutes, replies started stacking, screenshots started circulating, and one name kept appearing over and over again like a ghost that refused to stay buried: Lori. Erika Kirk's mom. The woman the public had been trained to see as gentle, protective, almost invisible. And suddenly, invisibility looked less like innocence and more like camouflage. Then the receipts started leaking. Not clean. Not organized. Messy, half-blurred, clearly never meant to be public. A screenshot allegedly pulled from an old iMessage thread showed Lori's name at the top and a message underneath that sent shockwaves through anyone who read it. "He's not who he says he is. I don't trust him around her." The timestamp was years earlier than anyone expected. Before the marriage. Before the smiling photos. Before the carefully curated posts about family and love and support. People tried to rationalize it. Protective mother. Normal concern. Until the next screenshot surfaced. Same contact. Different tone. Cabot sees it too. "We're not wrong." And just like that, Cabot Phillips was dragged back into the story like a loose wire sparking a fire. The ex everyone pretended didn't exist. The chapter that was supposedly closed. Fans immediately dug into timelines, and what they found made the pit in everyone's stomach drop. Cabot didn't just disappear after the breakup. He stayed connected. Quietly. Liking posts from Lori's account months later. Showing up in comment sections under mutual friends pages. Never interacting publicly with Erika, but never fully gone either. And then someone noticed something chilling. Every time Charlie's name trended for a positive reason, Cabot's activity spiked. Old likes. Late night posts. Cryptic quotes about truth and masks. The internet smelled blood. A fan account posted a side-by-side comparison of Erika's glowing tribute posts about her mom's special bond with Charlie and the leaked messages allegedly showing Lori calling him a risk. The contrast was brutal. Public love. Private resentment. And when a short audio clip leaked, only 8 seconds long, everything escalated. A woman's voice, older, controlled, unmistakably sharp, saying, "I don't care how it looks. I don't like him." No context. No date. Just enough to ignite chaos. People began matching vocal patterns from old interviews. TikTok creators slowed it down, enhanced it, overlaid it with past clips of Lori speaking at family events. Comment sections exploded with "That's her," and "No way, this is fake." Others screamed defamation. But nobody could look away. Then came the alleged confrontation footage. Shaky, dimly lit, filmed from behind a doorway like someone was hiding. A man's voice raised in anger. A woman crying. And Lori again, cutting through the noise like ice. "You're choosing him over your own blood." The camera jolts. Someone says, "Stop recording." The video ends. No faces. No confirmation. Just raw emotion and a line that shattered the illusion of unity. Because if this was real, even partially, it meant the hatred wasn't passive. It was confrontational. It was personal. And it had reached Erika directly. Social media went nuclear. Hashtags trended accusing Lori of manipulation. Others defending her as a mother who knew something was off. Celebrities chimed in vaguely, posting things like "Not every villain is loud," and "Pay attention to who smiles the quietest." One former associate liked a tweet that read, "Families don't always want what's best. They want what they can control." Screenshots of that like spread faster than wildfire. Meanwhile, Cabot broke his silence without really breaking it at all. He posted a black screen on Instagram with white text. "I tried to warn people." No names. No explanation. Just gasoline on an already raging inferno. Insiders, or people claiming to be, began flooding comment sections and DMs. One alleged friend of the family said Lori never hid her dislike in private. Another claimed Cabot and Lori bonded over protecting Erika from a mistake. But then the tone shifted. Because another supposed insider dropped a far darker claim, that the hatred wasn't just emotional. It was strategic. That Lori believed Charlie was dangerous to Erika's future, her image, her control. That Cabot felt replaced and humiliated, and instead of moving on, aligned himself with the one person who shared his resentment. Whether true or not, the idea took hold like a virus. Fans started re-watching old videos with new eyes. Family dinners. Group photos. Moments where Lori's smile didn't quite reach her eyes when Charlie spoke. Clips where Cabot stood just a little too close at events before he vanished. People dissected body language frame by frame, convinced the signs were always there. And then someone unearthed an old, deleted tweet from Cabot that simply read, "Some men don't realize they are temporary." The date. Right before Erika and Charlie went public. Coincidence, maybe. But the internet doesn't believe in coincidences. The pressure mounted. Erika stayed silent. No denial. No clarification. Just quiet. And in that quiet, theories multiplied. Why praise her mom so publicly if there was private conflict? Why erase Cabot completely if he was irrelevant? Why did Lori never post about Charlie directly, only through Erika's words? Every unanswered question made the leaks feel heavier. More intentional. And just when it seemed like the narrative couldn't twist any further, a final file began circulating in private Discords and Telegram chats. A longer recording. Allegedly. Unreleased. Untouched. People who claimed to have heard it said it. By the time the sun came up, the story had already outgrown anyone's ability to control it. What started as whispers turned into digital riots. Group chats with thousands of members renamed themselves overnight. Fan accounts rebranded into investigation hubs. And buried beneath the noise, something far more dangerous surfaced: coordination. Because the leaks weren't random anymore. They were timed. Dropped in waves. Each one escalating just enough to keep everyone desperate for the next hit. The first major escalation came from a source claiming to be inside the inner circle. No proof. No credentials. Just a long thread posted at 6:42 a.m. that read like a confession disguised as gossip. According to them, Lori's dislike of Charlie wasn't emotional, it was ideological. They claimed she believed Charlie would limit Erika's trajectory, that he was too unpredictable, too visible, and worst of all, not controllable. The thread alleged Lori had been voicing these concerns to Cabot long before the breakup was ever public. And Cabot. According to this source, Cabot didn't just agree, he amplified it. He allegedly fed Lori stories, doubts, and worst-case scenarios. A feedback loop of resentment that hardened into something much sharper. Then came the screenshots that made people sick to their stomachs. Allegedly pulled from a shared notes app. Bullet points. Not emotional rants, lists. Concerns. Risks. Outcomes. One line stood out like a knife: "If this implodes, we need distance on record." Fans stared at that sentence for hours. Distance on record. What did that even mean? Public statements. Plausible deniability. Preparation for fallout. The post vanished within minutes, but not before being reposted everywhere with red circles and arrows screaming, "Read this." Cabot's digital footprint suddenly became the centerpiece of the chaos. Old podcasts resurfaced where he spoke vaguely about men who perform authenticity. Clips of him smirking when asked about relationships. A live stream from years ago where he joked, "Sometimes the villain is closer than you think." At the time, nobody cared. Now, every word felt like foreshadowing. And then a DM allegedly sent from Cabot to a mutual friend leaked. 3 lines. Cold. She's blinded. Lori knows. This will end badly. No date visible. No confirmation. But the tone alone was enough to ignite another wave of outrage. Meanwhile, Lori's silence became unbearable. No statement. No denial. No, this is false. Just locked accounts and a sudden disappearance from public view. And that absence spoke louder than any PR apology ever could. Paparazzi footage allegedly showed her leaving a private residence through a side entrance, head down, phone pressed to her ear. The caption read, "She knows it's out." Whether staged or real, it spread like wildfire. Commentators began asking questions nobody had dared to ask before. Why was Lori so involved? Why was Cabot still orbiting years later? And why did so many of these leaks point to planning rather than reaction? Then came the recording that split the internet straight down the middle. A 5-minute audio file uploaded anonymously, then mirrored across dozens of platforms before takedowns could keep up. In it, 2 voices argue. 1 male. 1 female. The female voice sounds older. Controlled. The male voice is agitated, bitter. At one point, the male says, he thinks is untouchable. The female replies, no one is. The most chilling moment comes near the end, when the male asks, what if she never leaves him? And the female answers, without hesitation, then we adapt. No screaming. No drama. Just certainty. People lost their minds. Analysts slowed it down, dissected inflections, compared it to known interviews. Half the internet screamed it was Lori and Cabot. The other half screamed witch hunt. But no one could deny how calculated it sounded. Celebrities began reacting more openly now. One well-known influencer tweeted, "I've been in rooms where this kind of concerned talk turns into control." Another posted, "Watch who frames themselves as protectors. That's usually where the danger is." Fans flooded Erika's comments demanding answers. Some begged her to speak. Others accused her of complicity. And still, silence. Which only made the next leak feel inevitable. This one came with documents. Allegedly. Email headers. Calendar invites. Names redacted. But the implication was brutal. Meetings Erika never mentioned, involving Lori and Cabot, scheduled during key moments in Charlie's rise. Coincidences stacked on coincidences, until coincidence stopped being a believable explanation. One invite title read, "Narrative Alignment." Another, "Damage Control." The dates made people's hands shake. Because if real, these weren't emotional reactions after things went wrong. They were contingency plans while things were still fine. The emotional temperature online hit a breaking point when a supposed former friend of Erika posted a video, face half hidden, voice distorted. "You don't understand," they said. "This wasn't about love. This was about control." And Charlie wouldn't play along. The video ended with a single sentence that made everyone go quiet. He saw through it. Within hours, the account was gone. The video was scrubbed. But clips remained. Always clips remain. And then, just when people thought the leaks had reached their peak, a final message began circulating privately. Not public. Not reposted widely yet. A warning. Allegedly from someone sitting on the last, unreleased recording. The message read, "Part of the audio names what they were afraid Charlie would expose." That line changed everything. Because fear is different from dislike. Fear implies risk. Fear implies secrets. And fear implies motive. Now everyone is waiting. Waiting to see if Erika finally speaks. Waiting to see if Lori breaks silence. Waiting to see if Cabot doubles down, or disappears again. Because if that final recording drops, the one people say ties everything together, it won't just be scandal. It will collapse. And the people closest to the story know it. That's why the leaks have slowed. Not stopped. Slowed. Like someone is choosing the moment carefully. Because once the next piece hits the public, there won't be any narrative left to manage. Only fallout. By the time the final wave began, nobody was asking if the leaks were real anymore. The only question left was who was going to survive them. Because something shifted overnight. The tone changed. The drops slowed, became surgical, deliberate, like whoever was behind them wanted maximum damage with minimum exposure. And that's when the last unnamed file stopped being a rumor and started being a threat. Private messages began circulating among creators with massive platforms. Not screenshots. Not clips. Warnings. Do not post this unless you're ready. This will end careers. Once this is out, there's no walking it back. One creator went live shaking, admitted they'd heard the audio, and logged off mid-sentence. Another tweeted, then deleted, "I regret ever wanting to know." The implication was clear. This wasn't just about hatred anymore. This was about why that hatred existed in the first place. According to multiple anonymous insiders, the unreleased recording allegedly captures a moment where the conversation shifts from dislike to panic. Where Lori's voice, calm until then, tightens. Where Cabot stops sounding smug and starts sounding scared. One person who claims to have heard it says there's a line that changes everything, if he talks. And then the internet noticed something chilling. Certain accounts that had been aggressively defending Lori and attacking leakers suddenly went silent. Gone. Deleted. Entire histories wiped. At the same time, a different group of accounts, newer, quieter, began posting vague messages like, "Truth doesn't leak by accident," and "Some silences are negotiated." One post went viral that simply read, "Ask yourself who benefits if this never drops." No names. No accusations. Just gasoline on a fire that was already consuming everything. Cabot finally reappeared, briefly. Not with a denial. Not with a defense. With a single, carefully worded post. There are conversations taken wildly out of context. I will not participate in character assassinations. The phrasing alone enraged people. Character assassinations. As if leaked audio and messages were somehow the aggressors. As if hatred documented over years was just a misunderstanding. Comment sections exploded. People demanded clarity. Instead, Cabot locked the post and disappeared again. And that disappearance felt less like retreat and more like strategy. Lori's camp allegedly reached out to multiple platforms behind the scenes. Not to deny. To delay. To suppress. Creators claimed they received vague legal warnings without specifics. Others said videos were demonetized within minutes. One large account posted proof of a takedown notice, saying, "They don't want this heard." Whether true or not, the perception alone was devastating. Because it made it feel like someone with power was afraid. And fear, at this stage, was the loudest confession of all. The most haunting moment came when an old clip of Charlie resurfaced, one nobody paid attention to at the time. He's laughing, half joking, but then he says, "You find out who's really on your side when you stop being useful." The clip cuts. Silence. That line alone became a rallying cry. Fans reposted it with captions like, "He knew, and this hits different now." And in that moment, the narrative fully flipped. Charlie stopped being the backdrop of the story and became its center. Not as a victim. As a variable that couldn't be controlled. Insiders now claim the final recording isn't explosive because of what it says about Charlie, but because of what it reveals about Lori and Cabot's alliance. That it proves their connection didn't fade after the breakup. That it shows coordination, shared goals, and a willingness to act behind closed doors while presenting unity in public. One source went as far as saying, "If this drops, the concerned mother image is done forever." Another said, "This explains everything about the silence." And Erika. Still nothing. No post. No statement. No appearance. Some interpret it as grief. Others as calculation. But everyone agrees on one thing. Her silence has become the loudest element of the entire saga. Because if the people closest to her were allegedly plotting, documenting, and preparing for outcomes she claims to never have seen coming, then her next words will either end this story or detonate it completely. As of now, the final file remains unreleased. Sitting somewhere. Passed between trusted hands. Used as leverage, or protection, or insurance, nobody knows. But everyone feels it looming. And that's the genius and the terror of it. Because in the age of leaks, the truth doesn't need to be spoken to do damage. It just needs to exist. So now the internet waits. For the drop. For the denial. For the collapse. Or for the moment someone decides the risk of silence is greater than the fallout of truth. Because once that recording goes public, there will be no more allegedly. Only consequences. If you're still here right now, understand this, you're already ahead of most people. Because stories like this don't explode all at once. They unfold in layers, and the people who miss one layer are the ones who wake up confused when everything suddenly collapses. This isn't the kind of situation where you casually scroll and move on. This is the kind where silence decides who controls the